Hi, my name is Anne Kennedy. I'm an assistant professor at Northwestern University, and I'm here to tell you about the 2021 Caltech Mouse Social, or CALMS21 dataset. This is a collection of mouse pose and behavior annotation data that was developed for the benchmarking of supervised and unsupervised behavior analysis tools. So I'll start by telling you about the team. All of the behavioral data in CALMS21 was collected and annotated by Tomomi Karigo, who's a postdoctoral researcher in the laboratory of David Anderson. The dataset was assembled by Jennifer J. Sun and myself. Jen Sun is a graduate student in the laboratory of Pietro Perona and Yisong Yu. And the collab notebooks accompanying this dataset were developed with assistance from Deepam Chakraborty and Sharada Mohanty at AI Crowd Research. So the brain has really evolved to give rise to behavior. And when we study behavior, what we're trying to understand is how animals make moment-to-moment decisions about their actions based on their complex sensory environment and their internal state. So an animal that encounters a conspecific has a series of choices to make about how it responds to that conspecific. We might also be interested in the structuring of more fine timescale actions that underlie one of these behavioral regimes. And we might want to be able to correlate animal behavior with recordings of neural activity from a head-mounted device like a neural pixels probe or a microendoscope. In the CALMS21 dataset, we have a large collection of behavioral data from a standardized assay for study of social behavior called the resident intruder assay. So in this assay, we take a resident mouse, which is a mouse that's in its own home cage, and we introduce an intruder mouse that's a male or female, and we allow the animals to freely interact for up to 10 minutes. And while the animals are interacting, we record video of their social interactions using a pair of video cameras above and in front of the animal home cage. So once we've collected this data set, we have to figure out how to analyze it. And the classical way to do this is to go through frame by frame in videos of behavior and manually score a set of social interactions of interest like aggression and investigation. The problem with this is that it's really time-consuming, it's very expensive, and it's also very subjective. Different individuals and different labs have different standards for defining these social behaviors. On top of this, if you want to go in and re-investigate an additional behavior, you have to go back to your videos and rescore it in all of your data set in order to be able to study it. So while the resident intruder assay is a very complex and very rich assay with a lot of potential information about how animals behave, it's a challenge to go from this raw video data to something that we can actually analyze and do science with. So to tackle this problem, a couple years back, we developed the Mouse Action Recognition System, or MARS, which is a computer vision pipeline for estimating the poses and detecting the behaviors of socially interacting mice in the resident intruder assay. So MARS detects a set of anatomically defined key points on the nose, the ears, the base of the neck, the hips, and the tail of both animals, and uses features extracted from these key points to apply moment-to-moment, frame-by-frame labels of the actions that the animals are performing. Specifically, MARS detects bouts of aggression, investigation, and mounting behavior. So on top of estimating the poses of animals, which is its own computer vision problem that's dealt with separately, we have this challenge of going from the tracked pose data of the animals, like I'm showing you here, to some sort of frame-by-frame annotation of the actions the animals are performing. The typical way that you want to do this is you take the poses of the animals and you design a set of handcrafted features, angles of joints, distances between pairs of key points, velocities and accelerations, that you think have something to do with the animal's behavior, and then you train a supervised classifier to predict animal behaviors based on these features. In the CALMS21 dataset, we provide a collection of videos and behavior annotations for testing and benchmarking of supervised behavior analysis tools. The dataset is composed of a set of 70 videos, which we split into training and test sets. And the most basic task associated with this dataset is to simply learn the relationship between the pose or pose features of animals and their frame-by-frame actions, so that you can then infer the behavior of animals on a held-out test set of videos and predict the labels that humans apply to animal behavior. In addition to this supervised task, you could also use this dataset for unsupervised behavior discovery or a semi-supervised method for trying to segment different types of behaviors into different motifs. The dataset is arranged as follows. So the basic unit of this dataset is one frame of video. For each frame, we have a vector of length 28, which contains the pose information about the animal. That's 7 key points times 2 XY coordinates times 2 mice. And then accompanying this frame, we have a label, which in the case of columns 21 is attack, mount, investigation, or other, which just means not any of those annotated behaviors. Frames are arranged into what we call sequences, which is a series of frames from one resident intruder assay, often around 10 minutes, sometimes it varies. So we have sequences of key points and sequences of accompanying frame annotations. And typically when you're trying to classify animal behavior, you'll be working with a subset of the sequence, which we call a trajectory, which is a current frame and then a small number of past and future frames, which you'll use to identify features that are meaningful for determining the animal's behavior. So the columns 21 dataset is stored in a JSON file with the following components. First of all, there are the key points, which are the 28 values that I just described for you. They're in a large matrix, which is dimensions frames by mouse ID. First mouse is the resident, second is the intruder, by XY coordinate by the 7 body parts, and the units are in pixels relative to the original video frame, which is dimensions 1024 by 570. In addition to the key points, we provide you with scores, which is the confidence of our pose estimation model in the location of each key point for each mouse. So these range from 0, which is very low confidence, maybe there's a lot of occlusion or motion, up to 1, which is the highest confidence. So you can use this to sort of judge how much you can trust a given key point. And then finally, we have the annotations, which in the dataset are stored as integers representing the behavior that the animal is performing. In addition to the pose data and the features, if you're interested, we also provide a set of pre-computed features that may be useful for behavior classification. So these were produced using a method called task programming from a recent paper from Jennifer Sun. These features are a low-dimensional representation of the animal's movements within a short window of time. There are 32 features provided, and they're computed on each frame of the videos. So you can use this as a starting point for your behavior classifiers, but it's probably not going to get you all the way to accurately detecting these behaviors of interest. Finally, the columns 21 dataset is accompanied by a large number of unlabeled videos of animal trajectories, in case you want to try any kind of unsupervised learning of the structure of animal behavior or unsupervised behavior discovery. And that's it for the columns 21 dataset. Thank you for your time and enjoy.